Now, this illustration deals with ground fault protection for personnel. In accordance with NEC 590.6, when electricians are working on construction sites, or even maybe pulling maintenance, repair, remodeling, that kind of thing. Now, notice the person in the illustration, that drill motor's metal and it's leaking to the enclosure with enough current that could hurt that individual or even maybe kill that individual through electrocution. But they're set, if they have GFCI protection, they're set to trip at 6 milliamp, and you could have 5 milliamp minus 1 or plus 1 on some GFCIs. And notice 210.8A deals with GFCI protection for residential. 210.8B, as in boy, deals with GFCI protection for commercial and industrial type locations. But notice it's plainly stated above that individual that GFCI can eliminate this hazardous condition. Now, we can learn a lot about this GFCI protection at different locations in dwellings, as well as commercial and industrial locations, by reviewing the figure loop. And you would just look at Chapter 9-15, Chapter 11-35, you would look at 11-40, 13-5A, and 13-5B. Now, I would like to point out all those figure loops we're looking at there is in the Volume 1 of Stallcup's Electrical Design Book. So you wouldn't even have to purchase, say, Volume 2 to look up those figure loops. And notice that in the called out information, we might even have say a cable, flexible cord or whatever, that would go out to branch circuits in accordance with 590.4C as in car that you see in the illustration for a multiple conductor cable or cord. And then notice extension cords used in accordance with 400.10, item 10, protected with GFCI protection in accordance with 590.6B2. Now, many times we receive calls from young electricians, and they want to know where can I find out about this GFCI protection, and what can I use as GFCI protection and safely meet the code, but I want to know the operation and all the little pros and cons. Then you would just go to Chapter 13 of 70B, and each type is defined right there, how you can use those individual GFCIs that they recommend there, such as a circuit breaker, a GFCI receptacle, a portable GFCI. The different types of GFCIs that our industry has available to us today are listed in Chapter 13 of NFPA 70B, and you'll learn everything you need to know about each individual one by referencing that standard. Now, GFCIs, they're usually required to be checked once a month, and we know that's in NFPA 70E, and I believe it's at 110.6, right in there is where you'd find that rule of 70E, Article 110, 70E. But now we have GFCIs available that will check themselves. You just have to believe the manufacturer's instructions that they will check themselves. Now, many times we will find facilities, they will not check all these GFCIs until they use them. They'll go in and check them as they use them, if that be the case. I'm not saying that meets code now or meets the manufacturer's recommendation, either one. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that sometimes they will make that rule because that means in some facilities, someone's just going around all the time checking GFCIs if there's a bunch of receptacles like that or breakers protecting receptacle outlets that are used by people. And then sometimes you have the portable GFCI. So if you want to know more about these GFCIs, where they can be used, what's the advantage, what's the disadvantage, just look at NFPA 70B as in boy, Chapter 13. But this figure 9-45 just shows and illustrates protection for construction workers using GFCI protection for personnel in accordance with NEC 590.6.